Let's look at printing text and specifically how you print text on the same row versus on different lines. So let's look at this first example. We have 4 statements. The first one, you can see this pound sign or number sign. This one is called a comment. Any lines starting with this number sign are considered a comment. So when Python sees the dollar or the number sign here, it will know that's a comment and it does not execute this line of code. So comments are lines of code that are basically documentation to tell other people what the code will do. In the second line, we are using a print statement, and the print statement involves just the print and the ending and beginning parentheses. What's included inside of the print statement, inside of those parentheses, is considered arguments. Arguments are separated by these commas. So our first argument is a string literal. It's text. So we use either the double or the single quotation marks and put whatever we want it to print in there. Now, single quotation marks are technically used for smaller pieces of text, and the double quotes are used for longer phrases of text. So that's just a general rule, but you can do it either way. Then after the comma, we have our second argument, which is the end statement. The end equals single quote, space, single quote, and this has to be single quotes. You have a space in between. What it's going to do is it tells the program to keep the output on the same line. So you can see that's what our comment says, that the end statement keeps the output on the same line. In this case, we have 2 lines that have the end statement, and then the last line does not have the end statement. It just has one argument. When we run this program, it's going to print hello there, and end is going to put it on the same row or the same line. And then the next statement says my name is, so it's going to output that. And then since it says end, the next statement is going to be put on the same line. So it's Carl, question mark, and that's entered here. So the end function, or end statement, I should say, will output the next print statement on the same row. Technically, what you can do is say hello there and not put the quotation mark here and just continue my name is ... Carl and put it all in one set of quotation marks, and that way you don't need the end. The next way is to print the value of a variable. So a variable, if you remember, is a name that you give to a particular value. You assign a value to a variable. These can be consistent values such as this. Sometimes you might change variables if you're doing calculations and such. So you might change the value of the variable. And what we want to do is print 3 lines, wage is, and the end tells us that this next line is going to be on the same line. So it's going to say wage is, and then it's going to go to the next line, and we're going to print wage. Well, we've already assigned the variable wage to a value of 20, so it knows instead of the variable name here, it's going to print the value of that variable. And so in that case, it's going to print 20. Next on that line, we have a comment starting with that number sign. So if you see that comment, Python's just going to ignore the rest of that because it's a comment. It's just telling the user or the programmer that this is going to print the variable's value and not the variable name. So lastly, we will go down and print goodbye. Now, it prints it on a different row because technically, anytime that you use the print statement and you don't have anything after it, for example, the end here, it automatically puts an enter after that statement, so it will go to the next line automatically. So in this case, it goes to the next line automatically and says goodbye. So let's look at this next statement. I'm going to go here. And we're going to look at new line characters, which we know if you use the print statement, then it's going to automatically put at the end of this what we call a new line or enter, okay? So it will automatically put an enter here, so it will go to the next line. You can do this a different way by using the new line characters. So without the new line characters, if we don't add those, let's look at how it will function with just a print statement. If we say print 1, 2, 3, at the end of that line, it automatically uses an enter, so it will go to the next line. Okay, so you can see here there's an empty line, so it goes to the next line, and the empty print function will just print a blank line. And after that, it knows to go to the next line or the row after the print function. So it goes down, and it will print the string ABC. Another way you can do that is to use that new line character. If you say 1/n, that's going to print 1. The /n is the new line character, and what that is telling the program to do is to go to the next line. So it'll print 1, go to the next line, 2, go to the next line, and then 3. So you can see the output for this one. It is printing 1, going to the next line, printing 2, going to the next line, and printing 3. So those are different ways that you can use different functions and features in Python in order to space out your lines.